screencast on how to Slack at Turing. My name's Tim Tyrrell. I'm a backend instructor. And I just want to kind of give you an overview of how we generally use Slack, some shortcuts, and some workflow tips to just make you as efficient as possible using Slack. Cool. So let's get started. So as you can see, this is the general layout of Slack. We'll have, a channel that's in focus, and then on the side, we'll have a number of channels that you interact with. Slack has recently added sections, so you can drag and drop sections to be in a specific place that you want. As you can see, this is the starred section, and I can expand and collapse it. I can move it down to be below channels if I want, and I can collapse any section, and I can also rename a section if I wanted with by clicking on these three dots right here. I can rename it, I can delete it, I can create a new one, any of that. So this is a good way to organize your channels. I have starred channels, and then low priority is lower. Some muted channels, which I'll get into how to do. And then DMs are below that. And so the way that I usually navigate Slack when I want to get somewhere, I use a Command K. That kind of brings up this box up top, this jump to. And once again, that is Command K. Okay. And that'll toggle kind of like you being able to jump to any channel, any DM, anything very quickly. So say I wanted to jump to a DM with myself, I can start typing myself. As I type, Slack will give me options. So I type Tim, so these are all the Tims at Turing, and it'll generally bubble up who you've interacted with more recently to the top. So if I head to myself, great. I've got a picture in here. I've got, this is kind of like your personal place to keep things in Slack. So anytime I need to like send myself something or remind myself of something, I usually will just send it to myself, which is a really nice feature of Slack. And so this is kind of like your personal workspace here. And if I want to get back to say 2005 backend, I could do Command K, start typing it, and I'm back. Now, as you notice in this channel, we have a star next to 2005 backend. So this is my current cohort, so I have it starred. And you can star channels by just clicking up here next to the little star. You can either unstar it or star it. I'm going to keep mine starred. I haven't actually looked at this. Oh, cool. So there's a little drop down, and you can even move these to sections with this drop down if you need to change sections, which is pretty cool. You'll also see this pin right here. And so every channel has the ability to pin items. And so if I click on this, now you can see something that's been pinned here in the channel. And it looks like this is something from Josh Thompson on some environment stuff. But yeah, this is a pin, and usually the most important things in the channel are pinned. If you click them, they'll pop up in a little pane here on the right. And then you'll be able to kind of like sort through them right here. You can unpin things by clicking this X. I'm not going to do that. And then this is collapsible as well. So I can look at the members over here of a channel. I can see what the channel's about. And I can see files. There aren't any right now, but that's just one way that you can interact with the channel and make sure that you kind of can navigate properly. So as you see, I have some muted channels down here, and this is for channels that, maybe you're in and you don't want to leave, but for right now, they're not top priority. So if I go to 2001 backend, you can see I have this little mute right here, this is indicative that this channel is muted, so I don't get notifications from it. I can unmute this if I'd like. And then if I want to mute this, again, the easiest way, I know there's another way, but the easiest way is to right click on it. So on a Mac, it's Control and click. And then there's this little mute button that pops up. You also have the option to move move the channel to a different section. You've got some additional options down here. You can leave the channel, but I'm just going to remute that channel. Great. So now I'll talk about how we generally will interact in Slack. So as you can see here, there's these are from instructors, these messages here. And a lot of times you'll see little square photos underneath. And this means that there's a thread underneath. And if I want to look at this thread, this one's got 12 replies. I can click in here. And now you can see the thread kind of over here on the right pane. And this is a way to keep channels organized. So if I wanted to respond here, I could just kind of start typing here, like my thread response, and I can add to this thread. And this way, the thread will pop up, or the message will pop up in the thread, but the thread isn't visible until you click on this link right here to view the thread, and I can exit out of it. But this way, the channel doesn't get clogged up with tons of messages about one thing. The best thing that you can do is when someone asks a question or someone has something very specific in the channel that they want to talk about, the best way to respond to them is by starting a thread. So if you look here, Meg has a message here and there is no thread. It's a lot different from this message, which has 12 replies. This one doesn't have a thread yet. So if I want to start a thread, I can hover over to this little comment box icon. I can click on that, and now that thread pops out to the right, and I can start typing, my response here. I can do some formatting here. If I want to this to be in bold, I did a Command-Shift left arrow to highlight everything to the left of my cursor. I can make that bold. I could make it italic. I could do a strike through. These are all some of the options of formatting. There's many, many more ways to format. I can format things as a link, and I could say this is my text, and then maybe my link is google.com. I can save that, and then you can see it appears as a hyperlink with just what I want to be visible via what I put in that top box as text. Great formatting there. You can also, if you need a new line in Slack, you can hold down Control and then hit the return key, and that will create new lines. So if you need to format things in a certain way, like if I wanted this, to have a few new lines above it, I could say like my topics. And then if I wanted to do a new line below that, great. And then maybe I also want bullet points here. So I can create some bullet points and say like first point. Now if I do a Control return, it creates another bullet point right under it. And so these are just some formatting tips that can help you out. You can also put emojis right here into Slack. If I want this one, I can put that there. You can put those right into your messages, which is a nice feature. Another thing I want to show you is if I delete all of this and I want to say maybe make a block of code. So I know we've got some code over here. So you can see how these are like formatted a little different. This is a code block right here, and you can see it's got this outline. It's got this kind of like dark background where you can tell that, now we're looking at code. So if I wanted to like have this also, I can do a Command C once I've selected it and copy it all. And then if I go back to Meg's message, I can start a thread and I'll copy this in. And so now you can see it's formatted in the code snippet way. If I wanted to unformat this, then it doesn't look like I can this way. I'll just type this out actually. So if I wanted to do maybe like a nums.each, and then we'll do the single line syntax num, and I'm just kind of showing some iteration here. Num times 2. So this is some code, and you can see it doesn't look as good like this because this is like regular text, but really we want to show this as a code snippet. So if I do a Command-Shift left arrow and highlight it, then I can say I want to make this code. And to do that with a shortcut, I can do a Command-Shift C. and this will format it into a nice a nicely like highlighted code text snippet. If I wanted this to be maybe an entire block of code, I could get rid of this and I could say, okay, now I want a code block, which is a little different than what it is above. If I wanted this in there, maybe I can just put that in there as well. And so these will show up a little different. I'll just send this real quick so that you can see. And this shows up in the thread. You can see now there's one reply. And these are two different options for formatting code that I have here. The easiest way to get the orange option to come up, you can use backticks. So if I start off with a backtick, top left of the keyboard, and then I say my nice code, and then I end it with a backtick, that will automatically kind of like create the highlighted code block as you see there. Cool. Other things that are pretty cool, you can create a new code block, which is formatted and highlighted. I'll just show you what that looks like real quick. Let me delete this message. Anytime you want to delete a message, you can just click on the three dots. Like once you're highlighted, you can click on these three dots, and then you have a number of options here, but the one that I want to use is delete. And another really cool trick is I can edit this message. So I can just hit E here and start editing. Another great thing is if I'm just in this thread or in the channel and I want to start editing the last thing that I wrote, I can just hit the top arrow. It's the bottom right of the keyboard. If I just hit the top arrow, I automatically kind of go into that editing mode, and I can kind of like just make some changes. And then when I hit enter, those changes are saved, and you see this little edited box has come up now. So that's a handy tip. Once again, that's just, I hit the up arrow. Once I am in the next reply box, and I want to like edit my previous message, I hit the up arrow, and then I can just start editing at will. And then when I hit enter, that becomes the new message. So that's a good way if you make a mistake and you need to make an edit, which I do all the time, that you can edit, and then I can upvote or add any emoji that I want to a message. Great, and they are applied as reactions to that message. Cool, so now I actually will delete this message. Cool. Great, delete, and that is gone. So the last thing I want to show you is if I have a code block, like, so this is some SCSS up here, and I want it to be formatted as like a snippet. So as code, like you can see, this is really nice with some color coding, highlighting. If I want to do this, what I can do is I can hit this little lightning shortcut, and then there's a lot of different things in here. I can say create a code or text snippet. So let's say so now this new box kind of pops up, and I want to call this Ruby iteration, and it can auto detect the type, but I usually just select the type that I know I want. I can say Ruby, and then if I wanted to do it similarly, nums.each, do num, and then now if I hit enter, it just starts a new line, so it won't actually send the message with enter. I can just hit an enter, and it's just kind of adding a new line here in my virtual text editor that popped up. And then I can say num times 2, and then end. And so now this is like a formatted Ruby text snippet. I can add a message here. So multiply all numbers by 2. And maybe I say like, oh, this doesn't make sense. There's nothing called nums yet. Maybe I need to make that. So I'll assign nums to an array of actual numbers. Great. And you can see the highlighting there is really helpful. And the color coding here kind of makes this a little bit more easy on the eyes. And if I multiply all the numbers by 2, great. And then I can create this snippet. Cool. You can see it's processes it as an uploaded file. And now I have this Ruby iteration kind of coming in. There goes the color coding right here. And now this is a little bit easier to see. If I wanted to edit this, it's a little different. I'm not editing the message, which I would do here, but instead I'm editing the snippet. specifically. And to do that, I need to hit this edit button over the snippet. And so then I can get in here and make whatever changes I need to and then save them. All right. One other thing that I like to do sometimes is I'll see a message maybe on the weekend and I won't have time to get to it or respond, but I can set a reminder for myself. If I hover over the message, let's just go to any message over here, say Gabby's message here, and I want to do more actions, I can say, remind me about this. So now maybe I say, like, I can't get to this today, it's Sunday, but tomorrow, let's do that. And so now the Slack bot tells me, I'll remind you about this message tomorrow at 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Great. If I want to see all my reminders, I can click on View Reminders. This list comes up. Right now, I've only got the one, but if you had multiple reminders, you could view them in this by hitting the View Reminders button there, and then it'll kind of like pop up in the channel. But none of this is actually visible in the channel to anyone else but you, as it says right here, only visible to you. Great. So that's some Slack tips and tricks. If you have questions about this video, go ahead and DM me on Slack, which you could do with a Command K, and you could just start typing my name, Tim Tyrrell. Boom, and then you're here and you can DM me. Yeah, the other one more thing. If I want to search Slack for a message, maybe I know that something was said, I don't remember what channel it's in or where it was, I can do a Command F. And so now this is the search bar to search all of Slack. Maybe I don't want to just search in my DMs with @Tim Tyrrell, but maybe I want to search all of Slack from anyone on Slack or in any channel. And I want to say, let's say arrays. Yeah, so let's just search everything. And then now you've got this entire box that comes up, most relevant. We've got some 2003 front end stuff. We've got some 2005 back end stuff. So now I can scroll through this and see, okay, here are all of the messages that have been sent recently about arrays, and I can scroll to the one that I want. Maybe I want this one from myself, and I can say view in channel. I click on that, and now in a kind of pop out thread to the right, it shows me what this message was, and if I wanted to reply to it, I could right here. So once again, to get that box up to search, Command F. Now the search box comes up, and you can tell from this little magnifying glass icon that that's what it is. If I wanted to search in a specific channel, like say 2005 backend, then I could do that by doing an in and then a colon and then the channel name. And now I can search in just 2005 backend. Maybe I want to search integers, and I search, and it comes up. Here's the only post that has integer in it. You can see it highlighted. It's from Sienna. If I wanted to see that, I could say, okay, view in channel, and then it'll pop out this thread for me to reply. Okay, I think that's all. Once again, hit me up if you have questions about this video or want to know other things about Slack, or if something has changed. Great. See y'all soon.